Hi guys, welcome. I'm Elaine, and today we're going to be sketching this Golden Breasted Fulvetta. So you know the drill. You need your scrap piece of paper and a pen that you can control the shading a little bit. And also I've got this one that drops a lot more ink with a lot less effort, which I might use for shading later on. But just while you're getting yourself organized with your scrap paper and your pen, I wanted to talk a little bit about the objective today. And what I'd like you to end up with is a sketch that has the reed and the bird on it, horizontal. So it looks like he just landed and he's ready to look at you and then fly off around your kitchen. So I do want to work on the angles today and getting the orientation correct. And yeah, so let's just start and see how it goes. And yeah, okay, you should be organized by now. It's a lot less important that you see what I'm doing, but when you start, give yourself room to fit all of them on your page. And I don't know how big or small you want to go, but probably a good idea is to start maybe a little bit small. He's got a very, very curved forehead like a chickadee and fluffy little feathers under his bill that come down to his tummy. So his head is turned slightly toward us, so we want to make sure that with the bill we've got a little bit of a tiny little bit right here on the other side of the bill to show that his face is turned a bit toward us. And what we can do is, if we find that we've not done his head puffy enough, we can add more height to it as we go. But let's just take this down to his throat, underneath the head, down his chest. Let's make sure I don't do my angles too sharp. And let's just stop basically maybe here by the reed. And then for his head, I want to have it some good height there, nice and puffy, before it kind of levels off a little bit. Still curves, because his head is turned toward us. So we've got quite a bit of his, the back of his head showing. And there's a lot of depth here. See? It's almost the entire depth of the bird from the back of his neck, and this is like the side of his tummy. And I'm not sure that I've got that same degree of height there. I think that I want to pull this down a little bit more. So I don't want to get into trouble putting his foot in just yet, because when I do, like, I've got the top of his head, this wing is below his head, but see how high the tail is? So I want to make sure that when I put in the wing and I do the tail, I don't have the tail dropped so much through the head. Let me see if I have a straight piece of paper, if I can do that straight. See, you guys, the top of the tail goes through the crown of the head. And this is what I mean by paying attention to angles and making sure that we've got him oriented properly on the reed, because the tendency is, when you do the sketch, is to drop the tail so that he doesn't, so he's more at an angle, and I don't want that. That's not the objective for today. It'd still look okay with your sketch. There wouldn't be anything wrong with it. How far back do I do this wing? Okay, when I think about from here to here, and then from here to here, here to here, maybe I should shorten that a little bit. And then let's go off to do the tail and push that angle up. You can always drop it later. Now, there is quite a bit of width here. And then we've got these wing feathers that are almost the same distance out as those. It's actually just a smidge more, but we've got the width of the tail, and then we've got this, the bottom of this wing here. So we're just going to try to see if we can get all this to line up, and if we can't, then, you know, there's lots of scrap paper in the house just to try them again. Bring this black down, and then thank goodness he's got this nice dark shoulder wing feather. I'm just checking to see if I'm sketching outside the camera, and honestly it would be to your benefit if I was. Should be a bit there's, you know, none of this is relaxing. What the hell? It's supposed to be, you know, like, oh, come to my channel, let's just do some sketching, and it's all so bloody stressful every single time. But I'm being so anal about these angles, you guys, and I do have a reason. Okay, so that's that one, and then there's a little bit of gray, and then his tummy. Oh man, where next? I don't know, because I don't know if I've got his, I don't know if I've got him wide enough. You know what I mean? There's a lot of real estate from the top to the bottom. But let's just put in his little, this is his tummy, here his side, and then it goes up to the back, and then some bum feathers a little bit. And here, and this is his, this right here, this is like his little elbow for his foot. Let's leave that out right now, because if we need to make changes to the width of his tummy and whatnot to make him look as wide, so that we're capturing that top-down angle, then we're gonna have to, then we'll change his feet. Okay, already I can tell I don't have him, I don't think for mine that I've got him wide enough, as wide as I want. So what do I want to do? I want to just maybe like move up this wing a little bit. See, it's a good thing we didn't put the tail in, yeah? Now, for the eye, let's see how, see the bottom of the eye? Is this straight? Let me have my paper straight. Go like this. See how the bottom of his eye goes? It's right by this bend, this seam between the top bill and the bottom bill. So if we do our own, go back to our sketch, and we want to have some distance here, but the bottom of the eye with lining up basically with the bottom, is it the mandible? I don't know. So, okay, so do his eye, leave the 2 white patches on the lens where the light has reflected off the curve of the eyeball, And I just want to say the reason I'm wanting to be so anal about these precise angles is because, let me just look at the phone real quick. Oh, call her back, neighbor. Oh, that eyeball looks a little bit small. You know, these very subtle angles that we're trying to capture in our sketch, they end up giving so much information about how the bird is perched, a slight angle of the head, a slight twist and turn in the neck. And this is the kind of detail that I want us working on. And being able to capture in our work. So it's not just like a flippin' side view police profile all the time. Because when it is just the side view, what I want to do is, okay, see how all these feathers are kind of like sticking up and going in different directions. So a lot of birdies you'll see where it is dark on the forehead and around the bill and dark underneath the bill. And the reason is because the skull is curving in those areas and all the feathers are sticking up like little pegs, and the light can't go down between and among those little feathers, so the light is being blocked. So that's one reason, and the other reason is pigment. So this is why most, you know, like when you see pictures and paintings and your own sketches, the artist is always darkening in the forehead and underneath the bill. And you know, I want you doing stuff because you understand why, not because everybody else is doing it, or, oh, it's like dark in the picture, so that's what I'm going to do. It's dark because those feathers are not able to lay flat. They're all, the light can't get in amongst those feathers, so that's why it's usually dark. And this, of course, is pigment as well, right? So just turn your page if it's easier for you, and let's just get some of this charcoal in and work around his bill, and then it's all kind of like bumpy and fluffy here. Goes down his chest, and the gray bumps into the orange, and then down into this. Let's just take this back up, and then we'll be able to decide in a couple of minutes if the head is rounded enough or if we need to add a little bit more height to it. I kind of just want to get some color down and then figure out how to do this. There's a couple little marks here, and how are we going to do this little border around his? I still feel like the eye that I did is too small. Let's just, come on. Okay, so that's going to be my border for the white. And there are subtle differences in the gray. There's a nice gray tone, and it kind of gets into this. There's a little bit of brown and green in the rest of it. But if we can just get down a little bit. Where it goes into his back. And we can do this jagged, all these feathers here. See, his head is up a little bit, right? So these feathers are all pushing against his back, and then such an amazing, amazing reference photo. These photographers who work in the field, I don't know how they have the presence of mind to like grab their camera and take these pictures, because I would be so gobsmacked to seeing, you know, such an incredible looking little birdie. Be freaking out. Getting my camera would be the last thing I'd be able to have the presence of mind to do. Anyway, to our benefit that there are these terrific photographers out there doing this kind of stuff. Okay, I want to fix up all this later. Okay, and then let's, you know, this isn't too bad, but I just don't know what to do with all these markings and everything like that. Delay, delay, delay. Stall, stall, stall. Nothing like choosing something simple for us. Okay, I should stop being a wiener. What I should check is, okay, see the tip of this wing feather here? Let's see how it lines up with his face. Because if we do this and have our 90-degree, have our page, so this also goes, you know, through about here. So if I have that, see, I've dropped it too low on mine, you guys. So keep this nice and high. This is the stuff that we have to practice. This is the stuff that's just so killer to me, because I would, if you guys weren't watching, I'd have all the angles wrong and he'd be not horizontal at all on the reed. But I really want him to be horizontal. Okay, so I had dropped it here and that's too low. So make sure that your wing tip here is not too low. And then you can just carefully take some of these black tips in. We can maybe leave a little bit of space for the white tips, but I'm not so concerned about that. What I really want us doing is figuring out how to get these angles correct. Well, these white tips are larger as we go in. I think it's pretty obvious. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It's all so confusing to me with these little white patches. The white tips on the feathers. Yeah. Okay. Now let's just carry a few lines back. And these lines that we're taking back are the black borders of some of these feathers. And then we'll do the rest in orange. Okay. I need to calm down. I need to do something practical. So I'm just going to grab this is my other pen that's dropping a lot more ink with a lot less effort. And I'm just going to like try to get some of this black in here to increase the contrast between the black and the orange. And then, well, I don't know. I just need to do something like this to make myself feel better. And I have my coffee here too. See, there's black and gray and orange and everything like that. Okay. Oh, I'm not gonna fuss. I'm not gonna fuss right now. You guys will kill me if I do. Okay, now. Good. So the wing is like nice and high. This is screwed up here, but anyway, to be fixed later. So next is the tail. So you're not allowed to drop it low, okay? I'm telling you. I will. So keep the tail nice and high because that's what's going to give him the correct orientation on the reed. So let's just double check one more time. I want you to see how flippin' high this tail feather is. So we've got his tail feather right here and it goes through almost just below the top of his head right here. So on your sketch, make sure that if you've got the top of his head here, that you're taking the tail out and you're not going to drop it below that point, okay? This is really going to be critical. Oh, I'm going to turn my page because this is a boo-boo. So let's just have, we've got a small strip of orange. Oh, wait a second. Wrong pen? Nope. Right pen. Right pen, no skills. Okay, so we've got a little bit of orange. Don't take it out too far. And then we've got the gray for the tail feather. Angle it if you remember. Little birdie's not going to mind if you screw it up. I always find all these little angles in the tail feathers so darn confusing. Like it's just a V. Why can't my brain get around it? And there's like another little V. And then another little V. Jeepers creepers. And then it curves. Okay, so when you take this in, should it be longer? Yeah, that looks way too stubby to me. I want to push this out a little bit. Okay, I think that's so much for being careful with all the little V's. Now, see how wide here? And that width almost carries through to where the tail it attaches to the body, where these tail feathers attach, because it's like a top-down view. So you want to have that width because that width also shows that it's a top-down view. I don't like this. Nope, I think I'm gonna push that out even further. Okay, so we've got these wing feathers shading underneath here where the tail is casting a shadow, plus these wing tips are black, but they're showing gray because of the lighting. And these guys come in here. Did you guys do a better job on the tail than I did? Well, that's a yes. Don't even need to ask you that. So let's get this black bar in here. It's not, I shouldn't call it a bar. It is a wing feather, and we're just seeing a larger amount of the edge of that feather. And it's fading to gray here. And then we've got our stacked, beautifully stacked feathers, all lined up so nicely. Gaps for some of the white. And more of the white, some gray. You know, part of me was thinking that I didn't really want to be dicking around with shading all these feathers and stuff, but you know, like it's a very, very good exercise for my brain because I do find all this stuff incredibly confusing and difficult to process. But I mean, that's enough of my problems. The objective today is really, I really, really, really want you to get a happy angle for the birdie on the reed. The end. Because I was looking at a photograph of a cat the other day. It was a headshot, and there's a lot of, you know, symmetry and stuff that we have to learn how to deal with. Okay, so this is all white, and then there's black borders. I don't know, I'll fix this later. Oh, there's no time like the present. So, okay, so what was I saying about the cat? So, the whole objective of us working on angles and things like that, do your jagged edge, you guys, to show that the feathers are just kind of like laying, they're not all perfectly the same length. And gosh, I don't like this tail at all. I think I should, it's too fat. So when we, later on down the road, when we're brave and we start dealing with animals and faces and things like that, there are very subtle changes in the angles that show one side of the face different from the other, because they're not symmetrical. They're not symmetrical anyway, and then they're not symmetrical because the camera is not capable of capturing the you know, like the camera itself adds distortion. Okay, and this is why a lot of models turn into famous models, because they have fairly heavily distorted bone structure that looks absolutely stunning when it's photographed because of the distortions in the light. You probably already knew that. What I want to do is just try to do some of the shading and the coloring in the tail to see if I can figure out how to get everything fixed with the length and stuff like that. So in my ramblings, we've gone from talking about bone structure and models to, you know, from our tail angle, but basically I do want us to work on having these, paying attention to these subtle angles and doing a good job on them, because these little angles give so much information that it's critical to get them, pay attention to them and try to get them correct in our work. Let's just add a little bit of the black. Here, see where the orange feathers aren't lying perfectly flat. The edges of his bars here, and we can just take that in. Okay, I think we've reached the point where we have to do major fixeroonie in our work. Okay, well, let's do his, okay, this can be fixed. Oh gosh, everything is fixable, right? It's a rule. I'm kind of nervous about doing the reed, but I think we should, because then we can put in his feet and okay, so we've got this here. Why don't we just put the reed in like that, and we've got one toe comes out and around. We see a little bit of his foot. Be narrower than that. Now, when we carry this reed down here, we've got, this is a toe right here, you guys, right almost under his tummy. So can you put that toe in? It's to his foot. And then we've got his little skinny leg coming out right here. Skinny little leg. And this is shading to his other toes here. We can just kind of like do some bumps. His toes are curling around the reed. Can't really see them. But we do see the back toe here. This one. I'll take this out. And then we'll do the reed. Now this is his, I said before, it's kind of like his little elbow or whatever it is, the joint, his little leg joint. There. Okay. Now, the real work begins. So much to do. You know what would make me feel better is if we just like shade the reed. Okay, everybody take 5 and let's just do some coloring here. It's totally like wasting your time a little bit, but when I post the thumbnail, it has to be exactly like what I do, you know, in the video, right? Because I don't want to look like I'm cheating. Oh, Elaine does this, like, look at this sketch, and the thumbnail looks like one thing, and then when you do the video, the thumbnail isn't nearly as doesn't look like this the video like I finished, right? And that's crappy. I don't want to be like that. So I want to color the reed, so there. Okay, now I just kind of want to get into the fixing stage because he's not bad. I kind of like just want to get rid of the reference photo and get back to doing like what I want. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna like cover him up, and I want to go to town on him and fix him up and make him look super cute and fix it. Is the eye? Did you guys do the eye too small, like I did? I kind of want to do it like a little bit bigger. I don't want to change the. I don't want to change the position. I think the position's okay, but I do want to make it a bit larger. And it's so difficult. Put some shading in the bottom part of the bill where the gray is. And what we want to do now is just like go back over him and work on the contrast. Am I using the right pen? I got to make sure that I don't grab the one that drops a lot of ink by mistake. And we're going to end up with a beautiful little birdie. Damn it. No matter what. It'll take some time, but it's all about working them over, contrasts, and now this, what do I not like here? Shade his bill a little bit. More underneath. I have to be careful that I don't get too carried away, because then like everything just turns a little bit too dark. And if I, and then I kind of like don't have the amount of you know what? I think he needs to be just a little bit there, just around here. And we can just do some shading on his foot to show the curvature. It is about being careful too, you guys. So it's like, yes, I do want to simply draw, but on the other hand, it is kind of nice ending up with something that looks a little bit decent, right? We already know that we're capable of doing crap. Totally capable of doing crap. Let's see if we can do something good too. So I think this, I want to do him justice, you know what I mean? Shading with pen. What do I make us do? Okay. Is this actually doing anything? Stay away from that white patch. Let's just like darken up the gray a little bit. And then this, and I think if we can just sort of like work on some of the contrasts, Did your tail turn out better than mine? And then there's like the, see where the shading, because one, see the tail feathers were, it's a nice top down angle, so we've got them stacked and we're seeing this shadow effect of the one feather being stacked on top of the other. That's why we've got some really nice dark shading here. And if we can just sort of like pick out where it should be a little bit darker. So switch to your other pen just to drop a little bit of color a little bit faster. It's worrying too much really about the gray and the black here on these wing feathers here. You know, sometimes I look at a sketch I've done after a video and there are whole areas that are like nothing like the bird. And I think, oh my God, what are you guys even doing listening to me? Well, that's why the reference photo is so important, is you do your own thing. Okay, so I just want to shade in his leg a bit. And this back toe. And then there's like this shading, the shadow that his body is casting on his foot. And remember, the birds usually have like these great big toes, so we can shade this in a little bit, and then see if you can shade in the reed that's right under his tummy, because his body would be casting a shadow on that anyway. You just want to have some contrast between his body and the reed and the toes and stuff like that. Now his foot here would be pretty much gripped all along the surface of the reed, so we can just shade that in and then take our shadow down to show the curvature. Now, it's so hard not to get sucked into thinking, oh, every single little, you know, feather and marking and everything, because I do tend to have a detail-oriented brain, so it's very hard for me to try to pick out just the general, not the general features, but you know, like the key ones. That's why this is just such a good workout for my head. Okay, see how these feathers are kind of like a really nice gray, and then there's a tiny little green tone in them and stuff like that. But in my sketch, I don't have that kind of dark shading. So I just want to have these feathers here a little bit darker to show contrast between his the head and the body feathers compared to the orange wings. And this white here and here I've completely lost. Okay, and then we've got his foot. I could have done a much better job on this. I don't know what I was thinking. Well, I probably wasn't thinking. How about that? And then we've got this little band of feathers that are coming out from his body, and then we've got the darker tail feathers. I just need to have more contrast on these guys here. I know the orange is kind of being lost and the gray is kind of being lost. It's all right, I'm still not letting you sketch with color. Does he kind of look okay? I mean yours, not mine. Because as I say, I don't want to, you know what, we need to shade underneath the wing, because this is his tummy, and this part of his wing is casting a shadow on his body, and there is curvature here. So we've got to kind of like just try to darken up his tummy just a little bit. To show some curvature here. I just want to be very, very careful in shading this part here. So this is his joint. So I want to actually darken this a little bit more so I don't get too screwed up. Got a few little wing feathers. There is more of a border for his wing there. Curving his tummy a little bit. And I wonder, see how there's very little space here between this shoulder feather and his tummy? I've got way too much space there on mine. So that's enough to screw up the angle because his chest is coming through at the wrong angle. Okay, shade in his toe a little bit, and the other toe. Should we call it quits, you guys? It's a bumpy little foot. The back toe. Yeah, it's not too bad. I'll have to ask my son if he's good enough for the wall. I don't want to have anything in the kitchen that's, unless it's like super cute and I like looking at him. That's why I don't have any pictures of my kids. Oh, I'm joking. Okay. I could just keep trying to fix them. I should say goodbye, but I promise not to do a thumbnail of anything that is different. I won't keep working on them after I stop the video. How about that? As I normally don't. So what you see is what you get. Okay. Thank you so much for your company. As usual, it's always a pleasure simply drawing with you. And have a fabulous day. And I'll see you next time.